Fumonori seems to know these streets. He quickly and purposefully through the suburban community, his eyes fixed straight ahead. Before long, Fumonori reaches a house. Without ringing the bell or even knocking, he opens the door and vanishes inside, leaving Koji to wonder how Fumonori can treat the house as his own. After waiting to see if Fumonori comes back out, Koji approaches the gate and checks the nameplate. Ogai, it reads. Koji has never heard of anyone by that name among Fumonori's acquaintances. Next, his attention is drawn to the thick wad of leaflets sticking out of the mail slot. This, coupled with the general dilapidated feel of the place, suggests that it's been abandoned for some time. A small playground about 2 blocks away provides an adequate vantage point from which to watch the front of the Ogai home. Fortunately, it does not appear to be the sort of house that has a rear exit. Koji settles down on the bench to begin his stakeout. I should have brought more smokes. An hour passes, and then another, but there remains no sign of movement around the Ogai residence. Soon, twilight settles upon the neighborhood. After Koji's 1 pack of cigarettes runs out, the stakeout becomes a battle against mounting impatience. He kills time by redialing Homie on his cell and sending her short text messages, but his efforts are futile, as he knew they would be. When the sky begins to turn deep blue and the streetlights come on, Fumonori finally emerges from the house and heads back towards the station with the same hurried stride. After some brief consideration, Koji decides that right now, investigating the house is more important than tailing Fumonori. He rings the doorbell just to make sure, and after receiving the expected silence in response, he checks to make sure no one is watching and turns the doorknob. The door isn't locked. The moment he enters the house, stale air thick with mold and dust fills Koji's nostrils. He's the unmistakable smell of a house that has long lain untouched. There is also a faint hint of something else in the air, something reminiscent of damp sewers and fetid cisterns. Flipping the light switch does nothing. The power must be cut off. Koji uses his cigarette lighter to illuminate the immediate area. In the thick dust covering the floor, he sees several brand new trails of footprints that could have only been made by shoes. Fumonori's. Koji decides to follow suit, and with dispense to courtesy, he enters with his shoes on. The lighter's flickering flame pushes the deathly silence and gloom of the house. Koji is surprised to see evidence of life remaining. Everything from furniture to tableware and appliances. Nothing seems to be missing. The thickness of dust suggests that the house has been empty for several months, which means that the owner must have left with little more than the clothes on his back. Could he have gone on a long vacation? The calendar in the den is still turned to April. Empty and silent, it's still exhibiting signs of life that was once lived there. The house reminds Koji of a passenger ship entombed at the bottom of the sea. In the graveyard-like quiet, a sinister thought suddenly enters his mind. No one's living here, but that does not have to mean that the owner left. Maybe he was murdered, and his rotting corpse is right under Koji's feet. He finds himself wanting a stronger light. A flashlight in his hand wouldn't make him feel much better. I'm pretty sure a gun or a knife would make you feel better. Also, sorry if I sound kind of crappy. I'm sick right now. I don't know if it's allergies or a cold, but I feel all stuffy. Koji allows Fumonori's footsteps to the second floor, where he begins to catch the scent of paper in the stale air. It's the smell of old books, instantly recognizable to anyone who has worked in an antique bookstore or library. So Koji actually worked in a bookstore. The first room on the second floor turns out to be a study. Its towering shelves packed with such a vast number of books that Koji fears for the stability of the floor. As a medical student himself, he is able to discern at a glance that this study belongs to a medical professional, and a high-level one at that. Judging by the content of the books, a smorgasbord of technical volumes far beyond a simple student's understanding, the owner's interest lies more with medical research than with clinical practice. Fumonori must have spent most of his time here. The scattered dust suggests that he was searching for something, and the contents of the desk drawers are in obvious disarray. A small pile of books stacked on the table side catches his eye. Being next to the desk, they must have been the most frequently read. Their nature could shed some light on the character of the person who worked here. Koji frowns as he examines the 3 books. These aren't scientific texts like the rest, but old leather-bound Western tomes like the sort you would find in a rare bookstore. The titles are meaningless to him. Traité de Chiffres appears to concern semiotics, but Ars Magna et Ultima is some kind of treatise on divination. And then there's Voynich manuscript, which looks like some sort of picture book. When he pages through it, he finds the text utterly incomprehensible. Maybe it's some kind of cipher, or maybe it's just in Latin, Koji. Like, well, you know what? You speak Japanese, so I won't even give you a hard time about not knowing Latin, or being able to discern from it. Whatever they are, they clearly have nothing to do with medicine, refuting Koji's earlier guess that this Okai was a doctor. Looking down, Koji suddenly notices a glint of something black and metallic under the chair. A pocket-sized flashlight, quite out of place among all these dusty books. Fumonori must have brought it in. With relief, Koji exchanges his lighter for the flashlight. Its tiny body emits a powerful white beam that casts away the darkness. Hey, Koji, you and I are similar because I carry one too. Really nice. It's Hugsby. It's 110 lumens. I got it for like $20. I've had it for several years. Really good flashlight. You should pick one up. His courage restored, he decides to explore the rest of the house. Koji notices something strange. Something that was not visible in the lighter's weak flame. The slime. Dark, oily stains are everywhere. The stains are especially thick around the doorknobs and stair banisters, like someone grasped them with an oily hand wrapped in a greasy cloth. Looking closely, he sees a place where slime was splashed low on the walls, almost as if wet mop was run violently across the floor. Could a guy made these marks, and if so, how? Koji begins to feel sick as he imagines a man shambling through the house with slime dripping from his body. Finding the bedroom next to the study, Koji checks the closet on a hunch. He discovers 2 empty suitcases, not what one would leave behind when going on a long vacation. Suddenly, chill runs through him. Whoever was living here is still somewhere inside the house. Suppressing the urge to flee, Koji goes back downstairs to check the first floor. If he finds a corpse, he'll have to call the police right away. He might get away with trespassing if he reports it first, but if they find the body later, it'll be awfully hard to explain his fingerprints all over the house. The flashlight reveals the den to be covered in even more slime than the rest of the house. The sofa looks as though it was dredged from the bottom of a swamp. In the kitchen, Koji takes one look at the sink and decides not to get any closer. He doesn't want any more fuel for his imagination. He reaches the door to the bathroom. A common scene from TV dramas flashes between his head, or through his head. A body with slit wrists floating in the bathtub full of water. And wasn't there a movie where a hitman disposes of his victim in a bathtub filled with lye? Lye takes a really long time to, like, disrupt a body. Or, like, not disrupt. Decompose a body. I mean, it does it way faster than nature, but, I mean, it's... If anyone's ever smelled death, like a rotting corpse of, like, an animal or a person or something, you instantly know, like, the smell of miasma. Like, there's no mistaking it. So if you can't smell it through the bathroom door, dude, you're fine. Unless it's a fresh corpse. But even then, they tend to have a certain smell of death in the air. Koji braces himself for the worst and opens the door slowly, then shines his light onto the ceramic bathtub that appears from the darkness like a white ghost. Bones. So many bones. Bones black with dry flesh and blood. Koji puts one hand against the wall to steady himself as his legs threaten to buckle. Something is wrong. He realizes as he tries desperately to get his thoughts in order. The bones are too small, and there are far too many of them. They aren't human. Well, cool, alright, not a big deal. Maybe the dude was a hunter and he likes to clean his animal parts in his bathtub. After taking several deep breaths to calm himself, Koji enters the bathroom and examines the tub. The bones are piled atop each other like fallen leaves. They appear to be from small animals, perhaps cats or dogs. Even so, the quantity is mind-boggling. How many bodies would it take to produce this many bones? The bones have all been separated from one another, so it doesn't look like bodies were just thrown in the tub and left to rot. Each bone is covered with deep grooves, marks left by teeth biting through flesh. Koji's sanity won't let him consider the possibility that a human could have done this. The owner of this house must have kept some sort of carnivorous animal as a pet, giving it the bones of small animals to eat and disposing of the remains in the bathtub. But why not dispose of the leftovers properly? They could have just been thrown out with the garbage, or perhaps there was something keeping them from leaving the house. The relief Koji felt when he realized that the bones weren't human is once again under attack. You know, I actually know a lot of people that keep bones. Like, especially from hunts and stuff. Like, they'll keep them and then they'll, carve them into a certain shape and polish them, and they make really nice white ivory looking. It's a very close almost to ivory. It's super incredible, and in fact I've been wanting to somehow, next time I go hunting, use the bones of whatever I hunt. I mean, if you're gonna hunt, you gotta try to use as much as you can, It's only the proper way to honor the animal that you killed. In the first place, what the hell was Fumonori doing here? Oh boy, what's wrong, Koji? Well, this is not good. Koji whirls around, his light revealing Fumonori's expressionless face. You're trespassing. So are you, Koji replies, barely managing to speak over the pounding of his heart. Fumonori pushes past Koji and looks into the bathtub. He doesn't even flinch from the sight of bones. A friend of mine lives here. I'm just running an errand. What? Who is this friend, and when did you meet them? Koji doesn't want to believe that the odd, friendly Fumonori could have had contact with denizens of this house. I'll introduce you one of these days, he says, turning to leave without even glancing at Koji. I owe her my life. Hey, Fumonori. The fuck, dude? Koji runs after Fumonori. His heart is finally beating normally again. Wait, is this friend of yours the reason you've been acting so fucked up, bro? Standing in the entrance, Fumonori glares coldly at Koji over his shoulder. The utter lack of emotion in his eyes gives Koji pause. You followed me, didn't you? Well, No shit, Fumonori, like how do you think he got here? Koji swallows. What can he say? You're starting to bother me, Koji. Don't do it again. Fumonori, not to be a dick, but you're a string bean looking motherfucker, and Koji's probably got about 50 pounds on you, dude. Fine. Like, you might be crazy, but Koji is probably still gonna kick your ass. Fumonori walks away without another word, leaving Koji alone in the entrance. Up until this very moment, concern for his friend was still at the forefront of his mind. Now, however, that concern is swiftly giving way to a growing sense of dread. Does this Fumonori he knew no longer exist? Was the person he just stared Koji down an imposter wearing Fumonori's skin? Koji has begun to believe that it might be so. What a nuisance. Why does he insist on interfering? If he only spoke with me to exchange pleasantries, even I could bear it, but now he's sticking his nose in my business just to satisfy his curiosity. Koji is a perfect example of someone who thinks that it's always good to take an interest in other people's affairs. He probably thinks that he's doing me a favor by prying into my personal life. He couldn't be more wrong. If he keeps this up, I might have to find a way to deal with him. Like Saya said, I have to keep my search for Dr. Agai a secret, and Koji could ruin everything. I didn't have time to fully investigate the Agai residence today. At this rate, it'll probably take several days just to go to the study. Saya didn't believe that I'd find anything to help with the search, but I still think there's a lot to explore. Who knows what I'll discover? The problem is Koji. He knows about the house now, and will he make things difficult? Excuse me. A hair-rising chill calls as I'm about to pass through the gate. Suppressing a shudder, I put on a fake smile and turn to face with a writhing mass of rotten flesh that is staring at me with bulging eyes. Good evening. Are you just getting home? Yeah, I am. Oh, of course. This is my next-door neighbor Suzumi, a middle-aged painter, I think, who spends all day at home while his wife works. I haven't had much contact with him since the accident. Why is he talking to me now? Have you gotten used to living alone? Why would you ask that of someone? Especially in the house that their family used to live that are now deceased. Like, hey dude, have you gotten used to living alone in your dead parents' house? Just curious, I'm kind of bored and want to bring up such a abysmal memory. Yeah, thank you for your help. I know it must be very difficult, but you're still young. You have to try to move on with your life. Yeah, dude, thanks. I'll keep that in mind from my neighbor. You know? What is this? Did he stop to deliver a lecture? With such a big house, it must be hard to take care of everything by yourself. Yeah, I suppose it's rather difficult. Why not hire a caretaker? Didn't your father have one? I'm still a student. I can't really afford the expense. I see. The flesh beast undulates foully, as though it still has something to say. The sight of it is driving me close to the edge. Even so, don't you think you should at least tend to your yard? I'd be happy to help. No, thank you. I'll manage on my own. I completely understand, like, this guy's trying to be like, hey, I know you're probably super depressed. Let me help you with your yard so you don't get, hit by the homeowners association if Japan has one, which I think are complete bullshit, but in this case, that's the point of one. But damn, dude, like, you should just do it. Like, one of my neighbors a long time ago had a terrible thing, like, her husband passed away, And the whole neighborhood, or like everyone in the street, came down because she just couldn't take care of the yard. So every week we would go out and we'd mow the lawn or rake the rock or something and just do things like that, you know? And she always tried to pay us, and we're like, that's fucking stupid, don't worry about it. Now I get it. He's worried that the unsightliness of my house might diminish the image of his home. But damn stop. Oh, okay, yeah, that might actually be another thing. I flash a token smile, then retreat behind the safety of my gate. I feel Suzumi's eyes boring into my back all the way to the front door. Why won't everyone stay out of my life? I just want to live together as Saya, alone, where no one will ever bother us. Yeah, dude. Oh, so that's Suzumi. Suzumi Yusuke sighs in annoyance as he watches the neighbor boy retreat into his house. What's with his attitude? Even while talking, he keeps his eyes averted, as if to avoid looking at something repulsive. He's always been such an unblessing young man. No, of course not. When his parents were still alive, he had been a normal youth. A little shy, but sensitive and caring. Why is everyone astonished by this sudden change in his, personality after his entire family died a terribly gruesome death, and that he had a massive brain concussion and had brain surgery? Why is everyone surprised about this sudden change of attitude? The unfamiliarity of living alone must be causing him undue stress. If this continues, he might start to develop serious mental problems. As opposed to his entire fucking family being dead, Suzumi. Or is it too late already? Yasuki wonders as he gazes wearily at the Saki house. I'm not even gonna try Saki Saka. Even during dinner, Yasuki can't shake the neighboring house from his mind. What's wrong, honey? You look like something's bothering you. Yeah, I saw the young man from next door today. Fumonori. I just had to say something about his yard. I know. I wish he'd at least do something about that smell. Oh, okay. Now if there's a smell, I completely would get on someone's ass. Regardless if you're depressed or not, if it's a smell, you can't really block that one out, like closing your shutters. The stink coming from the Saki house grows worse each day, and the Suzumi family is at its wit's end. Could there be a dead cat in his bushes? He must notice the smell coming from his own yard. He couldn't be leaving garbage out there, could he? Surely not. No, I wouldn't put it past him. Who knows what he's doing all there in the day with the storm shutters closed? What kind of life is he leading? Did he go crazy? No, Hiromi, you shouldn't say shit like that. Honestly, with the way things are going, I'm starting to wonder if he's gone paranoid or something. Will he be okay? Unless he gets help soon, who knows? The seconds crawl by, each tick of the clock compounding my agony. When I returned from the Yokai residence, I was greeted by a silent, empty home. Saya had vanished without leaving any clues as to her whereabouts. It isn't rare for her to go for walks at night. I've often gone with her. However, such outings have always taken place in the middle of the night, when no one is around, and I've never lasted more than 2 hours. Right now it's 5 in the morning, and soon the sky will begin to show the first light of dawn. Even if she left right before I returned, she's still been gone for almost half a day. I can't sleep. I can only wait in English. English? I can only wait in English. In anguish, I tried to distract myself by painting more rooms, but I couldn't concentrate on the work. If I had known this would happen, I would have left the house sooner. I wish I hadn't wasted time on Koji. If Saya doesn't return, the thought makes me want to tear out my hair After its long absence, the terror of true loneliness is too much to bear. At last, the cowbell chimes and Saya's long-awaited "I'm home" rings out from the bottom of the stairs. As I jump out of my bed in relief, all the stress that has built up through the night is released in a wave that threatens to sweep me off my feet. I'm so tired, Saya sighs as she climbs the stairs. I knew the trip would be hard. Saya, where have you... My question trails off as I notice the thick bundle of papers that she's carrying under her arms. What are those? Your medical charts and surgery records. I went back to the hospital today. Saya drops her bundles on the floor, sending papers flying everywhere, and pulls her favorite cushion over and collapses into it, stretching luxuriously. You walked all the way back from the hospital in the middle of the day. Sorry, she says, skillfully gathering the scattered papers together. I meant to come back sooner, but there were so many files to go through. So I decided to just bring everything. It was so heavy. Maybe it's just the exhaustion, but I'm not understanding a word Saya's saying. What are you planning to do with all this? What do you mean? I'm gonna study it, of course, she replies, holding one MRI photograph from another up to the light. I'll have plenty of time to go over it here. At first, I think she's just playing around, but the occasional mutters of, better check this one, or, oh, I see. Well, that was silly of them. And the like as she separates photo in the growing pile beside her make me think that she might not be joking after all. Do you understand this stuff? I learned a lot from Dad. She flashes me a grin and proceeds to the paper. Huh, so that's how it is. No wonder it can't be fixed. It can't. Not by a human doctor. I can't tell if she's being serious. Even for me, it'll probably be tough, she says offhandedly, even as her hand continues to shuffle papers. I'll have to experiment first. Watching more closely, I realize her eyes are scanning each page rapidly. So rapidly, in fact, that I was unable to notice it at first. It's possible that Saya, a young girl, is actually reading my charts. Hey, Saya. Yeah, she answers coolly, looking up from the charts. I'm tired. Let's go to bed and skip forward from this sex scene. Sure, Saya replies with a grin, if that's what you want. Saya tosses aside the papers she was sorting, then leaps on me and begins to tear off my clothes, upon which I will go ahead and just blot everything out. Okay, and now we're finally done. Okay, 2 o'clock for Suzumi Yasuki. This is the most fulfilling time of the day. After seeing his wife and daughter off, taking care of the morning chores and eating a leisurely lunch, it's finally time to sit down at his easel. He's not a particularly popular painter, and he would only hold an exhibition if he were hurting for money. However, the design he does on the side, however, the design work he does on the side ensures that there's always enough to support his daily lifestyle. Along the salary his wife earns working for a magazine, they're able to pay their mortgage, send their daughter to school, and still have plenty left over. Yasuki's life is perfect, leisurely and absent of want. He loves his house, considering it the symbol of his success. When he mows the lawn, polishes the windows and floors, and cleans the kitchen, toilet, and bath, he feels the same joy as he does when washing his own body. I feel the same way. Like, this is your home, it's your kingdom, like, this is your place. Fucking take care of it, make sure everything's clean and put away. Which reminds me, I have to scrub the, what is it called, crowning? Yeah. So I'll do that tomorrow. I told you, really neat freak here. Just as he knows the length of his fingernails and the time since it's been his last meal, he also knows everything about his home's condition, the status of every floor, the freshness of every flower, the amount of ice in the ice tray, every last detail. This is his pride, and when he sits in his studio, smelling the turpentine and knowing each element of his house is in perfect order, he feels the ultimate satisfaction. While trying to find the right combination of paints on his palette, he suddenly feels thirsty, but soon remembers that there isn't much orange juice left in the refrigerator. In fact, it's also about time to stock up on bath additive and powdered soap. He could get everything at the supermarket when he goes to shop for dinner, but it'll probably be quite heavy. Okay, why would that matter if it's quite heavy? Like, I don't know if it's a guy thing, but I know that whenever I buy something, I'm only making one trip from my vehicle to my apartment. That's it. Like, I'm not going back. No matter what happens, I'm carrying all the groceries I bought in one go. There is no substitute. Now then, where should I leave off to go shopping? As he ponders this dilemma, he heads downstairs to the kitchen. Just then, a breath of air tickles the back of his neck, bringing him to a halt in the middle of the hallway. A breeze? Impossible. Every window in the house is closed. Yosuke shut them himself during his morning cleaning. Yosuke enters the living room, searching for the source of the breeze. Something stinks. It's the same pungent smell of fetid swampland that emanates from the Saki house. The window facing the yard next to the door is open, its curtains blowing loosely in the gentle breeze. There's a hole in the glass next to the lock. It looks strange, like it was melted by some chemical instead of broken. Someone must have reached through the hole to unlock the window. Yosuke stands paralyzed, his heart pounding with anger and fear. He listens carefully, but hears nothing. Perhaps the intruder has already finished his business and left, but a burglar wouldn't have left the room untouched, would he? Maybe he heard Yosuke coming and hid somewhere nearby. Yosuke realizes that his still wet palette knife, is in his right hand. I thought he was talking about his, tongue, palette, you know? He must have forgotten to put it aside and before going downstairs. He stares numbly at the knife for a moment, then decides that it's not enough protection. I don't think a palette knife is very sharp, is it? Let's do some research right now. Okay, and palette knife. A palette knife. No, everything I'm seeing is pretty fucking blunt. In fact, I'll make a little note to put it in here. Instead, he grabs the ashtray, but that's not really that better. Made of thick, solid glass, it's big and heavy enough to serve as a weapon. Dude, you literally use the VCR as a better weapon. Just go into the fucking kitchen and get a knife. The home that he thought as part of himself now seems suddenly alien. Keenly aware of the thumping of his heart, Yosuke looks around the living room and sees little that could be used as a hiding place. The intruder must have either gone up to the guest room or through the dining room to the kitchen. The kitchen is close to the stairs. As if there had been movement, Yosuke would have noticed it when he came down, which means that the guest room is the most likely place. He shuffles over to the guest room door and prepares to slide it open. But what is that stench? Could the breeze alone carry something so foul? It's as if the odor is coming from inside the room. He readies the ashtray and throws open the door. The straw-matted Japanese-style room is empty. There's a closet, but no one could fit in there. So the intruder already left. Yosuke relaxes, the exhaustion of sudden relief coming over him. And that's when something seizes his ankle. The instant he freezes in shock, his leg is yanked out from under him, sending him crashing to the floor. Stars explode behind his eyes as the head smacks against the door rail. The hand, if it can even be called that, wrapped around Yosuke's ankle extends all the way to his back to beneath his living room sofa. There are barely 5 centimeters between the sofa and the floor, but the intruder is able to hide in that tiny space. It can't possibly be human. Before screaming, Yosuke can regain his footing. Countless hand-like appendages seize his arms and legs, rendering him helpless. Calm down. Don't be scared. A hideous voice burbles in his ear as something cold and soft crawls atop of him. Yosuke can't even scream, his stare is so great. It won't hurt. Don't be scared. It won't hurt. Thin tube-like appendages penetrates his ears and nose, wriggling deep into his skull. Right before the sensation drives him mad, Yosuke loses consciousness. Jesus Christ! What is Saya? Like, seriously, what is she? Or it? Jesus Christ, and he's fucking it! Oh, also, this reminds me of something that I should probably say, because during the sex scene, like I'm fast forwarding it, and then there's like that afterglow, like pillow sock bullshit. And at that point, I was like, alright, I should probably read the pillow talk, because that's integral to the plot. But it seems that Saya wants his child. Like, apparently they're having unprotected sex, right? So she wants his baby, which is really fucking weird. Interdimensional lolly monster babies.
If it's silent in dismay, it won't break this feeling down. If I conquered this my way, I'd devour, I'd surround. If it hurts you just a little, then it heals you when it's done. Disappointment is the anchor, resolution is the sun.